anyone listening to this, like, what's the worst that can happen? They can say no. If you're already in that mindset, you're going to do it yourself anyways. So you might as well ask and see.
Discipline of direction, right? You're moving in all these aspects of your life.
Yeah.
The question is, are you moving in the way you're choosing?
Yeah.
Or are you allowing, right, the environment to and I'm going to harken that back to the 7-minute pivot, because that one small thing that you're going to do today might be making an ask. It might be that you're really drowning in something and you don't know how you're going to get something done that really needs to be done.
Welcome to another Million Miles, your personal lifestyle concierge with credibility. I'm Danielle Kiesling, and in each episode, I connect you with unparalleled access to authentic, credible voices from across the entire world of beauty, wellness, fashion, travel, and mindset. Welcome back to another Million Miles, where we explore the art of intentional living through conversations around wellness, mindset, leadership, beauty, and choices that shape how we live, how we lead, and how we evolve. Today's guest is someone who speaks directly to so many high-performing individuals, women, and looks at success on the outside, yet feels very passionate about connecting people from their disconnected, I would say, own lives or inner selves. So I'm joined by Dr. Cynthia Benson Mercer. She's a board-certified executive coach, a human capitalist strategist, a best-selling author, just to name a few, and a leader with more than 30 years of C-suite experience. She's the creator of Stop Drifting, which is a discipline of direction, a framework designed to help ambitious, overextended women recognize where drift is forming and to make intentional shifts before it takes them further away from the life that they truly want. I'm going to love this conversation and really the honesty and practicality of someone that has so much experience with coaching, growing people, and literally living her true and self and authentic life. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So Dr. Cynthia, thank you so much for taking the time and your energy and talking to myself and my audience.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be with you.
I just have to say, first of all, I'm blown away and incredibly impressed with your list of accolades and what you've done in your lifetime.
Thank you.
How and where did you start?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, pretty normal, humble beginnings, right? I'm sort of a California, Missouri transplant, been back and forth. So I'm, 50-50 SoCal and rural Midwest. Fell into human resources. The short version is I fell into human resources. I fell in love with business. I thought I was going to be a broadcasting and film, retire Barbara Walters and go that route. And I needed to pay the bills. And so I loved everything about teams and leading teams and financials and negotiation and all of it. And at one point, I had the opportunity to sort of enter training and development in HR, but always brought sort of a business acumen to that space. And I think ultimately it was that my love and fascination of people. I find people and the way we behave and the way we develop and the way we think to be fascinating. So yeah, lots of different industries over a 30+ year career span. And then circumstances changed a few years ago and sort of forced me into, in a good way, what I'm doing today.
So forest is something interesting, right? It can be used as a word that like people have a negative like relationship with
Ah,
it. But
right.
I think what you meant by forest is like the world or the universe presented a situation, right? That made you. So tell me about that. Because that's literally how I think I live my life, just on the
Yeah.
pivot.
Yeah. So, I mean, it ultimately is what I'm so passionate about now. So I was 12 and a half years as serving as a chief administrative officer for the sixth largest Catholic health system. So big job, big role, and really the pinnacle of my career. I was at that point had reached sort of the title, the compensation, the credibility, all the things that felt like this is good. I've reached the point that I've wanted. And I'm going to continue to do amazing work until I'm ready to encore, until I'm ready to go do something else entirely. As fate and the universe would have it, during a CEO change, which was planned, a succession change, and my position was eliminated at um, almost 56 years old. And
Wow.
so, yeah, so that'll be 3 years in June. So,
Girl, you look
um,
amazing.
thank you. Thank you. So it was a pivot. It was a major crossroads. And Danielle, the thing that saved me, frankly, and why I'm so passionate about what I do today is I was in the middle of writing Now Near Next, my first book with my co-author, and it was really because I was a little bit restless at work. I loved what I did, but it was a little rinse and repeat. And so I was focusing on the book as another way of kind of self-actualizing. And what we learned in studying women around the globe is that women get restless during
Mhm.
their careers because they
Okay.
don't feel self-actualized. They feel like they have more to do, more to give, more talent, and we found that they're not intentional to a person. And so as I was writing the book, I was drinking my own champagne and I was thinking, okay, well, I probably haven't been very intentional either. So someday, 3 to 5 years from now, when I go into my encore career, I want to coach, I want to speak, I want to write. So I started planting the little baby steps, the little seeds while doing my day job with excellence. So
Okay.
when that formidable day happened, June 26th, where they said, thank you for your 12 and a half years. Today's your last day after a little, tears and licking my wounds and anger and all of the right? I'm human, all of the grief and all of the things. The first thought was, oh my goodness, all I've ever known is corporate.
Mhm.
All I've ever known for my entire life is go do a good job and a paycheck arrives.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I'm going to be 56 years old. I'm single, empty nester going, I'm going to have to relocate to a new city by myself and start this all over again and find that needle in a haystack, right?
Yep.
Or because I had been drinking my own champagne and I had my coaching certification and I had a book in editing and so on and so forth, I could just accelerate this and go do this other thing.
Mhm.
And I did.
That's super
But
cool.
had I not, and this is so, so important for the person listening, had I not been working on my next,
Mhm.
I would have not considered having any other choice but to go back to all that I had already known.
Are you doing that in intention? Like, did you already have like kind of like a subconscious or conscious path that you kind of knew? Or was it just like, okay, I'm trying to work through my own, insecurities or whatever it was coming up for you. And it just happened when you had to make that decision, like you were prepared. So was that conscious, subconscious?
It was for the first time I made my career completely conscious.
Okay.
And because that's what we learned when we studied these women around the globe is that women are conditioned to put our head down, work hard, and wait to get tapped.
Okay.
And many of us around the globe, right? And we
Yep.
studied women in 5 race ethnicities, 4 different countries, a 20-year age span, all very highly successful women. And to
Okay.
a person, they were not intentional. And so I thought, okay, well, that's the magic, right? The magic is be intentional. Think about what is my next, pick a date certain, and work toward that. Not a major overhaul, not don't blow up your life on day one, do your day job with excellence, but start working on your future today. That's the through line of the book. Start working on your future today. And so I did intentionally. Now, I would be lying if I said did I have some intuition that maybe things were not going to go my way? Absolutely.
Okay.
I definitely could read the tea leaves and thought, and my mind was this it was, if this works out, great. I will have been working on my next. And 3 to 5 years later, when I'm ready to leave corporate and do my own thing, I'll be ready. I'll have created the path. And worst case, I will have started to chip away, banking more on the former, though, that this would be,
Yeah, yeah,
into the future.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because we're also women are planners, right? You started planting the seeds with this idea of like, okay, I'm going to consciously move forward and cultivating something that you're probably insanely passionate about, would be my guess.
Yes.
And, while you're still like forward thinking and entrepreneurial enough to like keep your day job.
Yes.
And I think the story there is so powerful because I run into so many people. I coach too. I coach in the beauty industry and I run into so many people that they're like, I'm just burnt out and I want to make a change, but I don't know even where to start. And they like literally will invest in coaching and then they will not follow up. And then maybe a year later, I hear from them and I'm like, Have you planted any seeds?" And they're like, "No, but I'm burnt out. And that's why I called again. And I know I haven't done the homework and I know I haven't done." And I'm like, "Well, you got to start planting those seeds or you're going to just hit the wall." And, your story is powerful because it's like you took something that you were really incredibly successful at and you now are even more successful. And, I don't know too many people that are best-selling authors and like running like programs that are trademarked that are ways for people to like literally change their lives.
It's where I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
And to the person that you're talking about, right? My new thought leadership is an expansion from Now Near Next, which is this whole notion of drift. Because what I started to recognize, and it sounds like the people that you talk to, is we call it burnout, but how we get to burnout, in my belief, is through drift. And if you think about it this way, if you think that we've got 5 areas of human flourishing, right? There's our potential, so our gifts and talents. There's our prosperity, however we define success financially or otherwise. There's people, our relationships. There's purpose. What's our North Star? Why are we here? What are we meant to do? And then there's our physiological, our mental and physical health. Typically, what happens to all people is it's never balanced, right? It's more like a balance board where you're just trying to keep some level of equilibrium and not fall off. But what happens is oftentimes we stay in a situation, a toxic relationship, a bad work situation, debt, right? Maybe we're gaining weight and it's just continuing to go on because we're out of the gym and we're not eating healthy, right? So all of these things, we tend to drift. Either we're not paying attention, so I'm pouring everything into one area of my life. And so therefore I'm ignoring some of these other really important things. Like I poured so much of my time and energy early in my career into my career that really at the sacrifice of some relationships.
Yeah.
And so having a discipline that says when you start to drift like that, and we drift because we're not paying attention, we drift because we're not watching the patterns. It's like that bad day, I reconcile it, I fix it, and then I forget about it. And then there's this other bad day and I fix it. And we never pull up and go,
With over 26 years of real life experiences as a thriving entrepreneur, I'm here to bring you sophistication, insight, and expertise into every aspect of your life. This is Another Million Miles, where luxury meets authenticity and every step brings you closer to the life that you deserve.
there's a pattern here. Like this relationship is not healthy, which, having been in one. And so we ignore the patterns or we're avoidant.
Yeah. Which
So,
is a lot of it.
right, we're not happy at work or we're not happy in the relationship or we're not happy with whatever it is. And we just avoid the difficult conversation, the idea of changing jobs, the idea of taking back over my health and my wellness. And so that's where burnout comes from. It's at
Correct.
some point that drift forces you up against the rocks and you're
Yeah.
like, now I don't have a choice.
I love that. I've never heard anyone explain it as far as drifting. It makes complete sense though, because most people can't connect the dots of how they got to the burnout. And I absolutely agree with you. I mean, I like you're talking and I'm like, yep, done that, done that, done that. Like, I've done a lot of work
Same.
and years too, where I'm like, get a grip, girl. If you're gonna be everything to everybody, you're nothing to anyone. So
Exactly.
yeah, you have to do all of those things. And like, yeah, to our point earlier, like we're human beings. We don't walk through life as coaches saying we know all the answers, but like it's definitely the reason I created this podcast, a lot of it was just like to show vulnerability and to show, have these conversations that like people want to hear. They want to hear that you just weren't lucky. They want to hear the struggles. They want to
Right.
hear what you like turn to alcohol abuse or when you turned to, like complete, like you ended up in the hospital because you just were not taking care of yourself because your work or whatever situation was happening to you and you just chose to avoid it. And
That's right.
it's a really powerful way that you described that, and I think that if anyone's listening to this right now and you can relate or have related to any of the things that Dr. Cynthia just mentioned, it's time to check yourself, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's the best question because I've created a 7-minute pivot. And I'll walk you through it. And here's the thing. Everyone can find 7 minutes. You can doom scroll for 7 minutes less. You can binge watch Netflix for 7 minutes less, right? Get up 7 minutes earlier. We can all find 7 minutes. And neurologically, it's enough time to engage that prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain that does the thinking and the logic and the sense making, right? Fight or flight little guy in the back of our brain that wants us to either freeze or avoid or run like hell. So 7 minutes, you set a literal alarm, you remove all the rest of your distractions, and you get out a pen and paper. Because again, we also know neurologically that by writing things down, it can really help to get things out of our head and out of the spin and onto paper. And the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to do a quick review of those 5 P's I gave you: the purpose, prosperity, people, etc. And by the way, free resources on my website. So there's a free stop drifting diagnostic survey where you can find out in 5 minutes where you're drifting. And
Okay.
there's a free 7-minute pivot practice guide that you can download and use every single day.
And what is your website, since you just said
Yeah.
that?
So it's dr-cynthia.com. dr-cynthia.com. And under resources, lots of free resources there. So 7 minutes, I set the alarm, I get my paper and pen out, and I'm really quickly going through the 5 P's, and I'm saying, where do I feel misaligned? Where
Uh-huh.
do I just, is it that I got up and the scale was not exactly what I was hoping for this morning? Is it that I feel out of sorts with my partner? Is it that I'm dreading going to work? It's, yesterday was Sunday maybe, and you're thinking, God, all I could do Sunday night was think about how I don't want to go to the office tomorrow morning. Whatever it is, you're looking first for the signals, and our body tells on us, right? Our body tells on us before our brain engages. And so you're writing down like, well, what are the signals that this is out of alignment? It's headaches, it's a pit in your stomach, it's heavy on your chest, it's I can't sleep, I'm sleeping too much, I have no energy, I'm binge eating, I'm grabbing the bottle of wine at the end of every, day that I get home from work because it's the
Yep.
numbing mechanism, whatever
Ah,
that is. And then so signals. Second is patterns. Is this a new feeling? Has this been going on a while? How often have I felt this way? I really had to explore this when I was in a really toxic relationship because I wanted to avoid dealing with it. Was so toxic and so emotionally abusive that it was easier, I thought, to avoid it and to throw myself into other things that made me happy than to address it, right? And so it was easy to not see the patterns until you force yourself to go, yeah, that wasn't a one-time thing.
oh, yeah, no.
That was a multiple time thing, right? So you start to look at the patterns, which really validate for you, wow, this has been
Yeah,
going on a minute.
yeah, yeah.
And the last thing you do, and the most important thing you do at the time the 7 minutes goes off or before, is you choose one small thing that you're going to do that day to move yourself in a slightly different direction.
Okay,
It could be make the appointment with the therapist. It could be commit that you're going to take a walk after work. It could be that you're going to update your resume. It could be that you're going to call a mentor and talk to them about some of the struggles you're having at work. One small thing, not a complete blow up your life, right? But you do that every day.
okay.
And the thing that you're working on may take a few weeks to resolve through or not. It could be, for me, I just find that I think I hyper focus. So for me, it might be, oh my gosh, I'm not leaning into my friendships enough. So then I'm leaning into my friendships. And now I'm like, gosh, I feel a little guilty that I'm not doing enough work. And so now I, lean over here. And I mean, it's just this constant, but that's why every morning to sort of do that check in. Different than meditation. It's different than prayer. It can augment. You can do it with prayer, with meditation, whatever your normal routines are. But the most important thing is that little tiny choice, because the reality is, as human beings in time and motion, we're never still. Choosing to do nothing, time still goes by. I was in a toxic relationship for 5 years.
Yeah.
Had I been able to recognize and take control of my destiny, make a choice to move where I wanted to go rather than allowing circumstance and environment to put me where it did, I would have had a number of years back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is wild. I'm like sitting here going, I can relate to that. I can relate to that. It's the same. And I think that the more successful we get too, like so you mentioned about like it is an avoidance thing, I think too. So like I'm sure you see it with a lot of C-suite executives that you're coaching and doing things. I did the same thing. I was in a toxic marriage for 10 years and like deep down inside, in your gut it's not right, but you just can't wrap your head around like rocking your world in that moment. Like that seems more exhausting, especially to high level women that are trying to like show up, be powerful, be entrepreneurial, do all of the things that women are inclined to do. We have the mental emotions, like you said, where we're like, we gotta be here, we gotta be there. Like we tend to like hyper focus. And until you finally like, I love this exercise because I'm gonna implement it because I wake up every morning, I do my journaling, my gratitude. I know how powerful that is. What I haven't been doing is like those like little goal setting things. I was listening to you talk and I'm like, wow, I find myself kind of just going, okay, I know that journaling and writing out gratitude and like what has come into my life, being happy for the manifestations, doing your affirmations, all of those things are good. But when you're kind of walking through the process because you're checking another box because you're like,
Yes.
this keeps me grounded,
Right.
love the implementing the task though.
One
And
small thing. That's right.
it's so powerful because we all get so overwhelmed. When we make a conscious decision to change, sometimes it's so over consuming and
It
like
feels so big.
we feel then the anxiety kicks in and then it's like you just like it's almost like you become paralyzed and you're like and I think that that's what you're saying with this drifting is this is why you find yourself all of a sudden like you're like, well, I didn't gain 20 pounds in 2 weeks. I did
Right.
it. I've been avoiding the fact that I don't fit into my tops as comfortably. And this has been going on for 2 years until all of a sudden you're like, shit, I got to make a change. I got to get my
Yeah.
hormones checked or I got to go get a grip on like my eating habits or whatever it is. So just implementing one small change, I think it subconsciously also puts you into like a practice, right? Of,
Absolutely. It's the
goal set.
discipline.
The
Yeah.
di-
I call it the discipline of direction, right? You're moving in all these aspects of your life.
yeah,
The question is, are you moving in the way you're choosing?
yeah,
Or are you allowing, right, the environment and everything around you to determine your destination? And so the
yeah,
discipline of direction says that I'm choosing and make the one small thing as small as it needs to be for you to follow through. Some days, the one small thing might be I'm going to send that text because that's all you have in you.
yeah,
That's okay. That one small thing might be I'm going to go to bed 15 minutes earlier. There's no judgment. It's your choice, but you're making the commitment and you continue to build upon those commitments, but you make it small enough that you're going to follow
well,
through. Yeah. Take control back because that's so liberating when you
yeah,
feel like the person that's in burnout at their job. It's like, okay, well, nothing's going to change on its own. Nobody's going to be knocking on your door and offering you something new.
oh, for
Is your
sure.
LinkedIn updated? Is your resume updated? Have you talked to a mentor or somebody that is a person of influence that might be able to say your name in rooms you're not? I mean, there's little steps.
It is. It's those little steps. And I also think too, I've found this interesting and I'm sure that it goes hand in hand with what you coach, but women also, I think, have a hard time asking for help.
Huge.
And, like it's opposite of what I think society tries to make it.
Right.
But I find that in my business aspects and in my environments, like men seem to be like totally okay with like asking other people to do things for them and jobs for them. And women like get, you said, hyper focused and fixated. And like we go into this mindset of it's like, I don't want to relinquish control or I like can't surrender that. I'll get it done myself. And I think that that is another toxic trait of highly successful women is they have a hard time asking for help. And then once they figure it. Welcome to another Million Miles, your personal lifestyle concierge with credibility. Here we go beyond surface level advice. We dive deep into transformational insights from experts who set the standard in their fields. That asking for help is not a weakness, then their level of success just like skyrockets.
Yeah. It's a leadership talent. We talk about it in Now Near Next. It's embedded in one of the chapters, which is asking for help is a leadership talent. It's a part of delegation. It's a part of how do you strengthen? We all have our gifts and talents. Other people have gifts and talents that can augment things that we're not as good at. Why would we not want to make ourselves better? But so often it's because we feel that then somehow we're not wearing the cape, right? If I have to ask somebody, then am I not all the things? I want to be all the things. I want to be the best mother and the best spouse and the best, worker and all the. And so it's not you're not enough by asking for help. It's this amazing leadership talent that we just have to reframe in our brains. But she said something earlier too, I want to come back to, which is about ambitious, high performing people and high performing women. So often we look at drift and just in general, we're hard on ourselves, right? So we want to look at that and think, my gosh, how in the world did I let myself gain those 10 pounds? How in the world did I let myself stay in a toxic relationship for 5 years? I'm a smart, educated woman who does that, right?
Yeah.
Going to have all of these things about scolding ourselves. The reality is, drift happens mostly to high performing, super ambitious, type A people because we're resilient, we are competitive, we are not quitters, right? So we just keep going and keep going and keep going. And maybe in that keep going in one or other area of our life, we're neglecting sometimes our mental health, our
Yeah.
physical health, the relationships that are most important. So it happens not from weakness, not from laziness, not from you're a bad person. It happens because we're so consumed with wanting to be everything that there's consequence if we don't sort of check in occasionally.
Yeah. I have many really successful, talented women that I surround myself with. And I always tell people, like, another thing is like, you got to have at that level, you want to surround yourself with people that are bringing you up. Right. And like doing an inventory of kind of what you did with your relationship, like that is part of, I think, getting your mindset clear and like, are these people like benefiting my life in a good, positive way? Or are these people bringing me down because I'm like listening to drama and I'm having to deal with other people's problems when and to your point, leadership is literally like guiding people for me down a path and like letting them do the work. I do this with teams for being on set with people. Like, it's like how much hair did you have to do this week? I'm like, I didn't touch hair at all. Like, I just sat and, like, delegated and, like,
Right.
people that they want to do that. They're actually empowering. I got that in my head. I was like, "Oh my gosh." Like, that's where it all of a sudden clicks and you're like, "I just need to work smarter. I don't need to work harder."
Yeah. And, you think about that at home too. I mean, I had to learn that lesson a little bit the hard way. I was diagnosed with breast cancer at 41 years old. And I was in a very big job, raising a couple of kiddos. Asking for help was not something I had ever been accustomed to, and accepting help offered to me was also because I wanted to prove like I've got this. So yeah, I've got breast cancer, but I'm going to work through it and I'm going to raise, like it's not stopping me. Somebody said to me at that point, Cynthia, people can't fix your situation. And that's hard. People want to be able to make you better and all the things, and they can't. But what they can do is they can bring food for your family so you don't have to cook, or they can help run an errand so you don't have to get out when you're not feeling great after chemo, whatnot. And that makes them feel good.
Yeah.
That makes them feel like they're doing something because they love you, they care about you, they want you. So even personally, and that's a dramatic example, but for me, it really stuck. It was something that I was like, no, when people offer, the majority of the time they're offering because they really want to help.
Yeah.
Why would we deny them of that?
It is so true. I recently just had this happen to me. I'm like, same type of thing. And my neighbor came to me and said, I really, they retired and they've been very successful. And I'm like so lucky. I have amazing neighbors that like watch over my house, watch over my dog. I travel all the time. And she said, like, I really need, like, I feel like I should volunteer. And I looked at her joking, half joking. We're really good friends. And I said, yeah, volunteer for me. I need like help I can get. And like, she literally was like, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, oh, where do I start? And then I was like, but what I did internally was like have this battle in my head. Like, no, I could let her do this or she could help me with my receipts, but like, no, like, and I went back and forth. And then I was like, honestly, I am drowning in expense reports. And I am working for tons of brands and I'm not getting paid. And like, thank God I don't live paycheck to paycheck because I just can't even find time to get my expense reports in. And she's
Right.
like, that's easy. She's like, that's all I did. My whole life is like spreadsheets. And I was like, here. And like,
Yeah.
it was the most, she organized me and took months of like anxiety off my chest like that
Right.
and was absolutely wanting to do it.
Yeah.
And,
It gave her
it
purpose. It gave her purpose. And helping out
100%.
a neighbor who she, cares about. I mean, that was a gift to her as much as it was a gift to you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do. That was a big, like we're all human. We still struggle with the same stuff we coach on. But like that was another eye opener. I was like, wow. Because, you have a guilt. You're like, well, she watches my dog all the time. She's like constantly like checking on my house. Like, I don't want to ask her to do another thing. I come home and her husband's mowing my yard like half the time. I
So
mean,
sweet.
it is so sweet, but then I reciprocate, right? And like when I'm feeling or when I'm stable and when I'm not traveling and I'm home for weeks at a time, I'm like, what's like all reciprocates. So like it is so good to be at a place where you can ask for help. It's going to open anyone listening to this. Like, what's the worst that can happen? They can say no. If you're already in that mindset, you're gonna do it yourself anyways. So you might as
That's right.
well ask and see. It might be very, very rewarding.
Exactly. And I'm going to harken that back to the 7-minute pivot because that one small thing that you're going to do today might be making an ask.
Yeah.
It might be that you're really drowning in something and you don't know how you're going to get something done that really needs to be done. And you know somebody who could help you out. And the one small thing is you're going to just swallow your pride and you're going to ask your neighbor if they could help with this or ask the person at work to help with that or whatever it might be. That could be the one small thing.
Yeah.
And the relief that when you can tick that box and that's one less thing on your mind, then that starts to feel more in balance, right? We start to feel like, okay, maybe the financial side of things or that all that admin that's been that starts to feel a little more in balance.
Yeah.
And so now we're more in alignment once again.
It's awesome. I could talk to you for hours. Yeah. I literally could. I want to keep this like digestible and not overwhelming. And I think that the conversation about drifting is like gold. Anyone listening to this podcast, I would definitely recommend that you go to Dr. Cynthia's website and, get all the free resources that she has. You have been an incredible person to talk to. I
Thank
would
you
love to
so
have
much.
you back on at some
Yeah.
point because there's so many things that you're doing and so many more other things that I would love to talk to you about investing and your books and like how did you do that? And like there's like I said, I could talk to you for hours, but how do people find you? How do they work with you if they want to?
Yes, thank you for asking. So, for those that are on LinkedIn, that's a great place to connect. So, connect with me. I'm on all the socials at Dr. Cynthia Benson Mercer, which is, I know will be in the show notes, but everything about what I do, how to work with me, books, resources, etc., are on my website, Dr. Cynthia.
Amazing, amazing. And is there any last words or anything that you would like to share with the audience before we wrap up?
Start working on your future today, not tomorrow, today.
Thank you, Dr. Cynthia, for taking the time. What stayed with me most really is the reminder about this drifting and that it might not always look dramatic and we might not even realize we're in it. But, using your 7 minutes, like to your point, everyone has 7 minutes that they can find in their day. That will give you so much more momentum, clarity, and mindset, I think, to recognize, those points in your life that you're drifting, and also put you in a really good practice of alignment and making progress with that. And that is the only way. Planting those seeds, starting your future now, I think is so powerful. I really honestly share this show with someone that needs to hear this today. Elevate your life, elevate their life. This is profound advice, and honestly, from someone that has so much credibility in the world. Super powerful, unique, wonderful woman, I can tell in the short time that we got to speak. And, there's a lot of lessons, I think, in this episode. So until next time, friends, remember, your best life is not found. It's created. One intentional step or 7 minutes in a day. So I will see you next time on Another Million Miles. And until then, again, thank you, Dr. Cynthia, for joining us. Thank you for joining me on Another Million Miles, where luxury and authenticity meet to enrich your journey. This is Another Million Miles, and I'll see you on the path ahead in our next episode. Until then, keep embracing the journey, savoring each moment, keep dreaming big and moving closer to the life you envisioned, and traveling afar.